All right, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Rowdy Ones. I'm Ash Simster,
This is Dr. Dodo.
and today we are going to be gaming and discussing a show that Dr. Dodo has never seen before, which is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We were talking about it one day and he said he had never seen it, and I began to tell him about it and he became really intrigued, and so he has committed to watch every single episode of it. I will also watch every single episode of it for the umpteenth time, and each week or so we are going to discuss an episode in order. So this week on this episode we will be discussing episodes 1 and 2. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show, came out in, I believe, March of 1997. It was actually a movie at first. The movie was written by Joss Whedon, who is also the writer and creator of the show. He's the writer and creator of the whole Buffy character. I think the movie came out in like '92. The TV and it wasn't received that well. It had like a lot of mixed reviews, but the TV show was received very very well. It premiered in March of 1997. When it came out, I remember the promos for it. I remember I was young. I was like 6 or 7 years old. And I remember seeing it, and it scared me so bad. So I never watched it. As I got older, I think when I was about 12 or 13, I watched an episode of it only because there was a famous singer who was going to be who guest starring on an episode. So I checked it out and I really liked it. I wasn't scared like I once was before. The zombies and vampires and the demons didn't look as scary at the time, as I got older. And then the show was like in syndication, and I would see episodes be on TV. And I would, if I wasn't watching nothing or have free time, I would check out an episode. And every time I would check out an episode, I became really interested in wanting to watch the series from beginning to end. And during this time, like Netflix and Hulu I believe Hulu was around. We're talking like maybe like 2010. Netflix was definitely around. I think Hulu was around as well, but I wasn't described to Hulu. And plus, I don't think that the streaming services that we have today, I don't think then they were streaming like these TV shows like that at the time, like how they are now. So I think I went online and I found a website where, all the episodes were uploaded. Some were in good quality, some weren't, but we made it work. And I watched every episode from beginning to end and I loved it. And as I got older, it just became a tradition of mine to watch it every single, and like every time September hits, I'm watching it because it's a cozy show for me. It's a comfort show for me. It's one of my favorite fall TV shows to watch, and I just put it on and just let it play from beginning to end. And yeah, so I'm a pretty big fan of it. So we are going to dive into discussing episodes 1 and 2 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So, Dr. Dodo, what was your initial thought of episode 1?
Well, first, let me say that you left us with quite a cliffhanger where you didn't mention the singer. I'm not going to push you
Yeah,
to
we'll
say who
get
it
to that.
is, but
I'm not saying it. It's gonna be a surprise. I don't want to spoil it for you.
well, we have 144 episodes ahead of us, and
Yes.
is it coming towards the
It
beginning of this?
Nope, it's
No.
gonna be at the end. I think it's gonna be like in the like either the final season, or which is either season 6 or season 7.
Oh
It might be
my.
season 7. So yeah, we got some ways to go, but you'll see when we get there.
Interesting. So, I knew of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the show existing. I didn't know there was a movie. That's interesting. Do I need to
Mhm.
see the movie to understand the show?
No, you don't. I mean, I would say if you want not, you really don't have to watch the movie to understand the show, but they do kind of connect the show to the movie. But yeah, I mean, it's really, you can like you can read about it and then just get an understanding of it. If you want to watch, you can, but you don't have to watch it to get an understanding of it.
Uh,
It was made before, like 5 years before the show even premiered.
well, I'm completely new. I know nothing about the show. I knew of its existence, but it just never appealed to me. And
Mhm.
yeah, so I never gave it much thought. And when you told me about it, I don't know. I found interesting that you found it interesting because I was surprised that it would resonate with you. I think I was just reading too much into it because I am a fan of vampire series.
Same.
Like big fan of shows, which I say I'm a big fan, and then I ended up not finishing the series. But I'm very much the type of viewer that will wait for a show to be canceled so that I can sit down and binge on it, and that's what I'll do. I'll watch the whole 7 seasons back to back, in a 1 week span,
Yeah.
just watching them back to back. I love doing that. I hate, oh my God, did I hate TV with a week by week, right? Like it
Hmm.
did build up tension and it did leave the individual always wanting and coming back, but I disliked that type of viewing. Netflix definitely spoiled me. Like
Hmm.
I want to binge and see everything.
Right.
I'm not just watching it, I'm really trying to understand the references that surrounded it. And we'll touch on those as we go through the episode. And I'm also looking up phrases that or sayings that just didn't understand, right?
Hmm.
And so I go online, I research them, and so I might ask you some questions to see if you get the references because I wouldn't have understood them then, and I kind of understand them now. I want to be in the in, and I want to know why the show was funny. And it is funny. It pokes fun at
Hmm.
itself, it pokes fun at society, it pokes fun of pop artists of the time. It's a very aware show. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. I'm ready to get into it. We are covering the first episode at the beginning, which is Welcome to Hellmouth, right? That's
Yes.
the name of the first episode. And we'll
Right.
also be touching on the second one. So let me see. I guess I can start us with a little bit of the setting, but I'm going to rely on you to step in and just fill in some of the gaps. So this show
Hmm.
takes place in the 90s, right? It has a
Right.
very Clueless, like the movie Clueless,
Right.
scenes
Yeah.
to it, right? It opens up to like a huge high school that is very privileged, and it just looks like you're in suburbia America, right? And the
Yeah.
school is called Sunnydale High School.
Yeah. The school is called Sunnydale High School. It is a really big school. It does have like the vibes of Clueless. Yeah. Here we go. We're introduced to Buffy Summers in the first episode, and we're learning how she landed in Sunnydale. She was kicked out of her previous school. Her and her mother, who was divorced, her name is Joyce. They moved from LA to Sunnydale because Buffy gets kicked out of her previous school because she burned down the school gym. And it's in her records, and of course the reason why she did it was because of vampires, but was because she was battling vampires. But of course she can't say that because she's a slayer, and it's a secret. And even if she did tell her mother or whatever or anybody, they wouldn't believe her, right? And
Right.
so, yeah, with episode one opening up, there's a boy who is with a girl. They sneak into Sunnydale High School, I guess, to make out or whatever. And the girl that he's in there in the school with turns out to be a vampire, and he is attacked by a vampire. And then, yeah, we're introduced to Buffy. She's starting her first day of school. She's just navigating and, trying to finding her way around the school. And of course, you know how the typical first episode of a show starts. We see her kind of bump into her potential friends one by one. Did you have anything to say, like, in watching this show that's set in the 90s and how typical it is? Because a lot of like shows in the 90s, it's like teen shows like this, it's just it's the normal intro. You get a new student, she's walking around learning people, like she's bumping into different characters one by one, and then you're knowing like, okay, these are the characters that who are going to be surrounding her and who we're going to follow as we watch this show.
Yeah. First, let me say that you let something slip out that I didn't know
What?
and that wasn't yet introduced, or maybe I didn't just catch it. I wasn't aware that Buffy's father was not around due to a divorce,
Mm-hmm.
right? It
You
was
know.
just, no, it's not covered. I actually have it as a question to
Mm.
ask, like, where is, like, he's not mentioned at all. All we know is that Buffy, like you said, is coming from another school in LA.
Mhm.
Sunnyvale is
Mhm.
about 2 hours out of LA. And she's coming in, and right away people are gravitating towards her because she's like the new student and she's coming
Right.
from popular LA, right? So everybody's very interested in her. And
Mhm.
she's also a very attractive girl, right? Not that I
Right.
find her attractive, but clearly one of her friends, which I'll touch on right away,
Mhm.
Xander's Harris, right? Who
Mhm.
is in the opening scene as he's like skateboarding to the school, and he has like this like slapstick type of comedy where he's like crashing into the rails and making a
Right. Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
And right away, he's on the ground and these two long legs stand over him, and it
Mhm.
is, of course, the next big character, who is Willow, right?
Yeah.
Yay,
Mhm.
Willow.
Yep. The best
And
friend.
the best friend, she was on How I Met Your Mother. So
Right.
do you want to just cover the characters right off the back, maybe give a little history on them, and then
Yeah, so okay, so she bumps into so she meets Willow. They have a cool conversation, I believe, and then her and Xander have a cool conversation as well. She ends up running, or Cordelia ends up running into her, and because they know, like, oh, you're from LA, so that's when she brings up, like, let me give you the cool test, right? And so it's like she's asking her all these like questions about like what, like who's your crush or whatever, and what do you think about this and stuff like that. When they mentioned that James Spader,
mm-hmm.
when they that he was like, oh my gosh, to die for, like he was a hottie. I was like, I laugh at that part every time because I'm just like, what teenager in the 90s was saying James Spader was fine? Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, he was a heartthrob in the 80s, but I just don't feel like during this time a teen, maybe like a mainstream teen would be like, yeah, James Spader is that one. I mean, this is 1997. You had Will Smith, you had Brad Pitt, you had
Oh
Tom
wow.
Cruise, like you
Yeah.
had Leonardo DiCaprio, like, and you say James Spader. So things like that, and throughout the whole series, things like that are gonna pop up, and it makes me laugh because I'm just like, who was in the right, like Joss Whedon, like you was up in the right room just writing anything, like you just definitely, so you could tell something's coming from a man perspective or somebody from like an older group. But I'm just like, who in 1996, 97 was saying, yeah, James Spader? No, but whatever, to each his own. So what did
No,
you think
you
about
bring up
that?
I thought it was funny, right? You bring up a great point because, first of all, I'm horrible with names. So when they said James
Mhm.
Spader, I was like, what is that? Right? I don't remember actors' names at all. So I looked them
Right.
up, and the first thing I saw was, oh, this is the main actor from the hit show, The Blacklist. And
Hmm.
he plays a 60-year-old plus man, white man, balding,
Yeah.
and just not who you would think would be called upon as being a hottie, right? Especially in the time.
Right.
I mean, you're talking Brad Pitt in
Yeah.
what
In
was that?
96, 97. Like, I mean, you had Interview with the Vampire with him and Tom Cruise. Like, man, I mean, they
Legends of
were
the
doing their
Fall. It's like
thing. Yeah, Legends of the
peak,
Fall.
peak, right?
Yeah. God, you had Men in Black with Will Smith and Fresh Prince
Patrick
of Bel-Air.
Swayze.
Gosh, like you had so many people. Yeah, so that James Spader, that one takes me out every time. I'd be
Well,
like,
you know what?
okay.
She's doing this cool test, right? So Cordelia is, first of all, you're introduced to her and you think she's a sweetheart, right? Because she's like taking on this new student that has no friends, and right away is just kind of like, hey, I'm going to show you the ropes. Just stick with me, right? I'm
Hmm.
sure what it would have felt like a godsend to anybody new to a high school. So,
Hmm. And they
as you
peeped
said,
that she was like, with her being from LA, and they can tell like she was, that she had a history of being popular because of the way she dressed and stuff like that. And like we do come to find out that she does kind of have like a background of someone who had a big social life, and she was popular.
right. So Cordelia administers this cool test, right? And one of the
Hmm.
questions is like, well, what do you think of James Spader and Buffy's like, oh, please call me. And then the second question is, what do you consider John Tesh? Right. And again, I was like, what the fuck is John Tesh? Have you heard of John
Mhm.
Tesh?
No,
Right.
not at
And
all.
well, Buffy's reply is the devil, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
Cordelia's like, okay, that was a given. A given to
Right.
them, maybe to people of that time, but to me, just completely clueless. I had to look up who John Tesh
Of course.
is.
Yeah.
And it just turns out to be a really generic pop singer, like just really pop, kind of like almost like a Kenny G type of personnel who does like pop songs, and were very popular at that time. So we see here the writers already establishing that Buffy is too cool for school kind of attitude, right? Like because the show itself, Buffy, is popular at that time, and so is this actual actor slash singer slash commentator, John Tesh. So it's John Tesh is so cool, or maybe too popular, that we have to dislike him. We have to dislike him because that's what a typical teen would do, right?
Mm. Mhm.
So those were references that I had to look up, and I thought they were
Mhm.
hilarious. As the show continues, we find out, well, almost immediately, we find out that really helpful girl who has taken Buffy under her wing, Cordelia, is actually a fucking bitch, right?
Right. She
She's
instantly just roasts Willow.
instantly, right?
Like,
Just like
yeah.
Willow's just minding her business, drinking water,
Right.
and
Right.
Cordelia's like, "Are you done? Get the fuck out of here!"
Right. Talked about her clothes, talking about, oh, you got it from Sears. First of all,
Sears,
okay.
right?
Sears,
Sears.
this is the 90s. Sears had an amazing catalog. Sears was like really decent. So I don't know what she like, don't be getting that well like that in her dresses and her tights. She looked cute. Okay. Willow was perfectly fine. I used to
That
love the Sears toy catalog. Don't
oh
knock
god,
Sears.
don't knock Sears.
Don't knock
Sears
Sears.
has been around for hundreds of years, right? Like you could order a
Yeah.
house from Sears back in the days.
Right.
So,
A coffin, anything.
yes. So Sears is, but I think that was like the beginning of the end of Sears, right? It was like when Sears was no longer the place to go. And then I could say that Willow's outfit was not bad. It was a very 90s regular outfit. But
Right. It
but
suit her. She looked cute.
but Willow says the worst thing possible. She's like, "Do you know what she said?"
No, can't remember.
She says, "My mom picked it out." Right? Like it's the worst thing you can
So
say
cute though.
to the most popular person. Like, and it gives us insight that Willow is this
Cute,
smart,
innocent person.
innocent, and Willow, being the sweetheart that she is, just takes the diss and just walks away. Right?
Hmm.
And we see Buffy kind of have like a moment to herself, saying, "Oh, this Cordelia is not the person."
Right. Like, this is not the girl I want to be around. Like, that was rude. And yeah, she instantly caught on and gravitated to Willow even more.
I actually wrote down what she said. Willow, good to see you seeing the softer side of Sears. Right? It's like she
That's
just
yeah.
does a death blow. All right.
Yeah.
And in that very scene, she tells Buffy, "You have to know who your losers are," referring to Willow.
Hmm.
So, I mean, right away, you instantly dislike the character. You go from thinking she's nice to disliking her.
Right.
And we move on. We move on, right? Right.
Oh, and then I forgot we got to mention when she did earlier in the episode when she bumped into Xander. I think Xander's like the first character that she bumps into before she bumps
Mhm.
into Cordelia and Willow. They bump in. Remember, she dropped her steak and he picked up her steak and he was like, "Oh wait, you forgot your steak," and she had already like scurried off though, right?
Yes.
And yeah, and then fast forward after meeting Willow and everybody, then she ends up meeting Willow, Jesse, and Xander all together, and then that's when Xander returns her steak, and so now it's like we're seeing the potential friend, the friend group that we're going to be seeing throughout the series.
Yeah. And, let me also touch on that. Vanders right away just falls in love with Buffy, right?
Instantly
Right? Like
thirsty,
just
okay,
like that's
thirsty.
yes, yes.
Oh my gosh. And I
Just
guess I can kind of understand it though, because they live in Sunnydale, a small fictional town of Sunnydale where all the kids at the school pretty much have known each other since kindergarten. They've all like they grew up with each other. And so when somebody new comes to town, everybody like instantly wants to latch on because it's a new person. It's somebody brand new who we didn't grow up with. Somebody with a total different background. So I understand, but Xander was just So thirsty.
And he has like this long collar. So she's clearly making a reference that he looks too much to be stuck in the 80s based
Yeah,
on his
and
outfit.
when you look up a picture of the DeBarges from like the 80s, one of them was married to Janet Jackson, and that one in particular, like when you look at all the makeup and stuff, like some of them wore eyeliner and were very like the makeup was like pale skin. You look up a picture, you'd be like, oh yeah, you right. Like they
Really?
kind of look like vampires. Yeah. It's just like the aesthetic of the 80s and like just the pale makeup and an eyeliner that people would, yeah.
There's
So
like an
that
androgynous
part
look
is
to
very
him.
funny. Yeah, an androgynous look. Yeah. And like the DeBarges, they were like some really like the men, they were like pretty men in their younger
Really?
years. Yeah. There was some like pretty men, fine hair. I think their mother was black, their dad was a white man or white French man or something like that. So they were yeah.
So let me ask you this. Would a 16-year-old girl know who DeBarge is?
During
Live
that time, yes.
Really? Okay.
Yes, because mind you now, like 16-year-old girl, I knew the DeBarges, and these kids, if we're talking 1997, are like a decade older than me, and I know them. I know the DeBarges, so they would definitely know the DeBarges. Because
Okay.
they had a popular song, into the rhythm of the night,
Oh shit. Really?
everything about the radio. Yeah, that was their song.
I thought that was like Gloria Stefan. Okay.
Oh wait, no, wait. Yeah, no, that is their song. Rhythm of the night, rhythm of the night. Hold
As you
on,
look it up.
let me look it up just to be sure.
It just sounds like
Shoot.
Gloria Stefan to me. As you look it
Yeah,
up,
it is DeBarge. Yep, Rhythm of the Night, and that was a very popular music video. Yeah, so they would definitely know that.
let me also touch on. So, what we're seeing here is that the writers are clearly influenced by the 80s, right? We're seeing the references to music, to actors that weren't necessarily big in the 90s, but were definitely
Right.
a thing in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
And one thing that stood out to me is that as the plot continues, is that there's a very Lost Boys element to this show, right? We're going to talk about where Buffy goes next, and it looks very much like the Lost Boys setting, a very popular film about teens and vampires in the 80s. I think it was 87. Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
1987. Yeah. So this is where the writers are coming from. All right.
Mhm.
And we see that throughout the show, right? They make a lot of references that are not necessarily the most popular in the 90s, in 97 when the show aired. Okay, so we covered Angel, we covered Jesse,
Yeah.
we covered Cordelia, we covered Giles, who
So yeah,
we
so
found out
we're
he's
at the
British, right?
right. So we're at the
And
part where Willow. Oh, what else you want to
well, what I want to say about Giles is that he's a watcher, and we didn't define what a watcher is. So he's the librarian at the school, but a watcher is somebody who is supposed to train and guide the Slayer. And I was a little bit confused about his role or the role of Buffy here because Buffy was slaying vampires in LA. And in theory, she should have had a watcher with her there, right?
say? And what she did, so she did have a watcher with her there, and I believe doesn't she mention him at some point? I feel like she mentions him at some point, which is why she keeps having the dreams. So let me say, okay, so I read about the movie, the 1992 film, and in the movie she has a watcher. The watcher name is, I think, Merrick, and Merrick actually ends up dying. He ends up getting bitten by a vampire, and he turns into a vampire. And before he harms Buffy, he ends up staking himself and killing himself. So it leaves Buffy without a watcher. And so this is why I was kind of like, that's why I was like, you don't have to watch the movie to watch the show. You could just read about it, because in Buffy the Vampire the series, it's kind of like they're picking up from that story, where it's like her watcher is killed, she burns down the school gym, she gets expelled. Now she's moving from LA to Sunnydale. She has a new watcher, and yeah, and the dreams that she keeps having, I believe, is the dream of losing her watcher. in
Okay.
LA. And so, yeah. And it's very interesting that they chose, I don't know why, but they chose to, pick that up. Like, okay, that happened in the movie. Let's like continue that same thing in the TV show.
I appreciate it actually. I appreciate that it's because to me it was a big hole in her
And it still
development.
is though. And it's still, and I feel like that's a flaw because I feel like it doesn't really, like, I had to read about that. Like, I don't remember it ever coming across as that in the show, or them taking the time to really explain it. And then, like, on top of that, there is an unaired episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer that was released in 1996. I just watched it on YouTube. It's just a pilot when Joss Whedon was pitching the idea, and it's like a 23-minute pilot where all the characters that we see in the first episode, a lot of the same actors are there. Willow is played by somebody totally different. The principal is played by somebody totally different, but I think everybody else is pretty much still the same. But there's a part in the unaired pilot where she's like, where her and Giles are talking about slaying and stuff like that, and he mentions like the last watcher, and she's like, well, yeah, it didn't end up too good for him either. And then I was like, oh, because he was killed, and so I don't remember them talking too much in the actual first episode of the series. But yeah, I still kind of feel like it was just a whole. Maybe I just missed it, but I feel like it's still a whole. I feel like you had to still research it yourself to like get that piece of information.
No, I'm so glad you brought it up because it wasn't mentioned. I'm certain it wasn't because I kept looking for
Hmm.
like I started to create a profile of who Buffy is, and that was one of the things that kept coming up as like, well, where were these vampires coming from in LA and who was guiding her? And one of the questions that I posted was, is being a slayer something innate, something that you're just born knowing? Because as you mentioned in the show, the librarian is a new character in her life, right? Meaning
Hmm.
that he implying that she had all this training, well, not implying, explicitly showing you that she had all this training and knowledge without the help of a watcher. So
Hmm.
in the starting credits it says, oh, there's a slayer
Yeah, every
comes
generation.
every generation, one and only, right?
Right.
So I thought, well, maybe it's like they're just born knowing who
Yeah. No. Yeah.
everything about a slayer, but it sounds like no, you need
No,
a
they're not.
watcher.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to have a watcher. You're not born knowing that you're a slayer. The watcher actually appears like in the movie, the watcher appears out of nowhere and tells her, you're the slayer, you're the chosen one. And then, as danger can plays out in the person's life, she kind of, when she fights back, she starts to kind of see that like she has these like abilities, but really haven't honed in on these abilities because she's in disbelief that she's a chosen one, that she's a slayer. Like she doesn't even know probably what a slayer is.
I would be interested to know like when she actually became the slayer, like what, like
when the
who.
when the watcher appears, I think when the watcher appears, that's when you are safe, because I think like on your like 15th or 16th. So the funny thing about it is, but the difference between that, I was gonna say yeah on your 16th birthday, but that's not even true because in the movie she's not even 16, she's an 18-year-old senior in high school, and then in the TV show she's 16. Yeah, I feel like when the watcher appears to tell you that yes, you are the slayer, you are the chosen one, we need to get you ready, you need to start honing in on your abilities. I feel like that's when it is, you are now knowing that you are a slayer.
That's really interesting. I really appreciate you highlighting the difference between the movie and the show. So now let's continue with where we left off on the plot. And the group is at the Bronx. What's going on there?
At the Bronze, they're discussing Angel, and Giles advises her to start honing in on her abilities to be able to spot vampires nearby. And as they're scoping out the scene of the bronze, they're just trying to, Buffy's trying to, hone in on that ability. Well, really not trying. I feel like she really latches on pretty quickly because she sees Willow in the crowd talking to a guy, and then she sees Willow willingly walking out of the bronze with the guy, and she instantly is like, she said something, I don't remember what she said, but she was just like, it was a vampire, and she just instantly spotted it. She used her instincts and just like completely saw that it was a vampire. Yeah, I don't know if she said anything. Do you remember, Dr. Dodo, what was said? Or
It
I don't
just
think anything.
it was just a reference to the debarge, which we already covered. So
Okay.
yeah, it was more like she knew that was a vampire based on his style.
Okay. And then what you got to say?
Well, just that nothing much, just moving along with the summary, that he decides to take her out supposedly for ice cream. He's like, oh, I know a shortcut. Let's go through the cemetery. And that's where Willow...
Oh, and then that's Willow's like, oh, like, are you sure? When she like, are you sure this is a shortcut or something like that? He was like, I don't remember this being a shortcut.
Yeah, she's totally being nice, as if she hasn't lived there her whole life.
Exactly. And she's smart, right? Like, she knows, like, she's just super smart, but she's just being very, sweet and, nerdy.
She's just trying to go with the flow, right? Maybe get laid or something. What a skank. No, we're gonna edit that out.
Yeah, right. Don't talk about Willow like that.
So, she's just going with the flow, and she's just going along knowing that it's not a shortcut. And that's when, Buffy goes, oh shit, something's wrong. Let me go follow up and find her.
And then we cut back to the bronze, and we see Jessie is, I think, on the dance floor talking to Darla, who we remember is a vampire because she was the one that killed the guy in the beginning of the episode. So
Jessie's coming off a super hard burn from my favorite character,
Cordelia.
Cordelia. She's so beautiful. And he's like, okay, whatever, there's plenty of fish in the sea. And guess who he runs into? A much more willing, not person, but vampire, Darla, as you said. And Darla decides to take Jessie for a stroll also. We don't actually get to see this, but we later find out as we catch up with Buffy and Willow at the cemetery.
Right. So Buffy's looking for Willow. So while doing that, she bumps into Xander, and he's like, he wants to tag along. She convinces, she has him help her look for Willow. And then I think we cut to a scene. There's like a scene where like the camera's like panning down, like underground. It's slowly going down underground under the streets of Sunnydale. And who do we see? I think we see the Master. I don't know if this is our first time that the viewers are seeing the Master, but I think this is like our introduction to the Master. Do you remember seeing him in the beginning? I can't remember.
No, you're very much on it. He's first introduced to us as he's like coming out of this bath of water blood, right?
Something like that, yeah.
And Luke, which is his minion or his main minion, is kneeling and saying, oh, we're ready for you in the harvest. Let's get the show on the go.
Right. So we don't know who the Master is. We don't know what the harvest is. Yeah, but he must be something very powerful because he has followers. Like, he has people that's reverencing him and wanting to help him. Like, he has little minions, that are on the streets of Sunnydale. And it seems like his number one man is Luke, the vampire Luke. And he sends Luke out to go gather more people to join his group of followers.
Yeah, so even though much is not explained about the harvest, we can deduce that through the conversation with Luke and the Master that he needs blood. He, being the Master, needs warm bodies to obtain the strength, what is going to be later explained as the harvest. And so Luke sends out his minions, and, this is where we're like, okay, the minions have already been out. It's Darla. It is this guy that Willow has been talking to, and they're bringing him a snack, right? And they're going through the cemetery to do this.
And there were some like extra vampires as well, like brand new ones. Because in the beginning, it really was the only people that we were seeing was Luke and Darla. And then then we see 3 or 4 extra other followers that they went to go out and get. And so then it gets to the point where Willow is lured by the vampire to a cemetery. And I think he traps her inside of a crypt. And Darla is there with Jesse, whose coloring looks very funny and he looks very weak. It seems like he has been bitten.
Yeah, Jesse, just like Xander, is like some kind of horn dog that is just looking to get any action. And Darla tricked him into it and bit him. Willow's like, "Oh my God, Jesse, what happened to you?"
Right.
And Darla steps in. And I believe, oh, no, we have already seen vampires, but Darla is wearing her vampire face, just like this.
Yeah.
Distorted, hard-plated looking wrinkled face.
And Buffy and Xander arrive. They see the vampire trying to attack Willow. Buffy kills the vampire. And then there's a fight between Darla and Buffy going on. And then I think she told Xander to help Jesse and Willow. So Xander helps Jesse and Willow escape. And then Luke comes in and really like starts putting the fighting skills on Buffy and overpowers her, throws her into a wall, just a whole fight scene. And then Darla leaves, and then Luke pushed Buffy down into a coffin, and he moves in closely into Buffy, getting ready to bite her. And then a to be continued, the to be continued thing pops up on the screen, and we are going into episode 2. So we don't know if Buffy is bitten or what. We don't know if she has lost this battle or what's going on.
Yeah, it's the cliffhanger of episode 1.
Yes.
Right. I suspect she's going to die and the show will be over. That's where I would put my money on.
Right. She's gone. Show just started and she already about to get taken out.
Yeah,
right?
one episode.
One episode, right. Yeah, right. So there's like, okay, to be continued. Okay, so we go into episode 2 and we pick up right where we left off. Luke got them fangs out, ready to bite Buffy. And then dun, 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 what happens? He gets like blinded or hurt by the silver cross that was given to her by Angel earlier that night.
Angel. Right.
Yes. Yeah. And so she's able to escape. She was able to run off and meet up with Xander, Willow, and the rest of the crew, and help them escape the vampires that were around in the cemetery.
Couple of things happen, right? Like Buffy and Xander and Willow are like, okay, we need to go save Jesse because Jesse is
right, because he got taken again. Which I'm trying to figure out. I guess that's why Darla ran off to go get Jesse. Because I'm like, dang, she swooped him up hecka fast. Because I remember them leaving. I remember Xander leaving with Willow and Jesse, and then Darla got up to them and took Jesse back underground.
Right. So Darla and her male companion that has been killed, their main objective was to get the master some food, and the food turned out to be Jesse. Right. Jesse is then brought to the master. Right.
So they brought Jesse to the master to lure Buffy to them, because when they went underground, Luke told the master that, the girl is likely a slayer. And so the master decides to use Jesse as bait to lure her down to them.
Right. So before we move on, I just want to touch on something that stood out to me was that Luke is kind of put down by the master for not have killed Buffy. And they determine that due to her ability to fight and survive the fight, she must be the Slayer. And they have been dealing with Slayers apparently for a long time. Luke makes a reference to the 1800s of him having lost a fight to a Slayer in the past. And the master's like, ooh, intrigued by it, right? Like he wants her now. It's becoming like a fascination for him. So they use, as you said, Jesse as bait. They're like, okay, well, we know she's going to come back to save him. So let's keep them down here and draw them in. Meanwhile, Xander, Willow, and Buffy go to recoup, right? And talk to Giles about what happened.
Right. So Buffy and Xander are like really like interested in all of this stuff now. Like, I mean, they're not scared. They're like kind of like, what is it? Excited or enthralled by what's going on. And Giles is like, this is dangerous. Like, y'all not even supposed to know that she's a Slayer. Like, it's really just supposed to be between me and her. But since y'all want to dabble into this, then let me give y'all a brief introduction to the world of vampires, Slayers, and demons. And let me just give y'all, just a quick intro that we know, so that y'all know what y'all really going up against, since it seems like we're not gonna be able to shake y'all, right? And so So
Right.
it's like, hey, now this is like the true formation of the gang. They are going to be helping Buffy take on these vampires, demons, and whatever supernatural being that should not be in Sunnydale.
Right. And Willow even gives their group a nickname, right? Well, not a
Yes,
group, but
yes,
Xander
yes, yes.
and Willow. Do you know what that
Yeah,
nickname was?
the friend group is officially called the Scooby Gang,
What?
right?
No.
The Scoobies.
I don't remember that. I thought
Yes,
they
it's
were
the
just the
Scoobies.
Slayerettes.
No, well, they were throwing things out, but it's the Scoobies, the Scooby Gang.
No way. I missed that. That's wonderful. I love it.
Yeah, yep, it's the Scooby Gang.
I
So
love
this
it.
is
I
the
love it.
official Scooby Gang from here on out, right? And so like Willow's like on the computer, like they're coming up with plans or whatever. Willow is using her smarts to like I think to get into like the city council's plans of like Sunnydale or the tunnel system so they can
Mhm.
go back underground and because they're trying to go rescue Jesse. And so yeah, do you remember anything else what happened in this area?
Just that Willow is really stepping into her role as being like
Right.
almost like a sidekick to Giles when it comes to information and knowledge, right?
Right.
Like Willow's like, you know
Instantly.
what? I know what to do. I'm gonna hack our government system to get the underground layout of the sewer system, right? And it was just like,
Hmm.
it's no big deal. I could do this easily, no problem.
Right. Like it's nothing. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yep. And then Xander, I think like, oh, and then who was it? Okay, so yeah, and she's remembering like what the mausoleums and everything look like. And oh yeah, so they find like a way to get down there. Xander offers to help, but she's like, nah, I got this. But of course, our great friend Xander follows her anyway.
Ah, he's so annoying. I can see why a lot of people hate him. Like I instantly hate him.
Why?
I think because he's
Xander.
just, I don't know, he's just too goofy and he's just in love with
Listen,
Buffy. I know.
we got to have a little bit of love for Xander now.
We've all been there, right? We've all been Sanders.
Yeah, y'all
Yeah.
all been Xanders.
Hmm.
But
One thing that stood out to me was that Giles is very informed of what it means to be a Slayer and the darkness that exists out there. And up until now, Buffy did not seem to be too much aware of how dangerous vampires were. They were more of like a nuisance. But the Master represents the fear that Giles is attempting to convey to these children who are just, like you said, signing up for this great adventure and don't
Mhm.
seem to realize that they could die.
right, yeah.
So from here on, it looks like he just gives into it, and the group gets the map and decides, you know what, we're gonna go after the Master, or we're gonna go save Jesse, and that means going into the Master's den. So Willow gets
Yeah.
the map, and they go into the sewer system.
But hold on, can we talk about
Yeah, tell me.
one of the funny parts though? Okay, so it's taking them a while to like they're researching. So they don't go just, right in. Like it's literally like the next day now. Remember, they're back at school.
Hmm.
And like there's a scene where Cordelia and Harmony are like in computer class and they're trying to like do their computer assignment. And
Hmm.
like and Willow overhears them like talking negatively about Buffy. And Willow defends Buffy, and of course, or Cordelia, says something mean to Willow. And then Cordelia's like, okay, well, I'm done with this. So how do I like send my assignment in? And Willow's like, press deliver. And
Right.
Cordelia's looking on the keyboard like deliver, right? And then she sees DEL and deletes her whole assignment. That is so funny to me. I don't care if this is how old the show is, 30 years old. I don't care. That part makes me chuckle every single time.
Yeah, we're like, good for you, Willow.
You're
Standing up
right.
for your
Good for you.
friends
Exactly.
and standing up
So
for
then,
herself because they were talking
yeah,
negatively.
they've been talking trash about Willow since we was introduced to Willow and Cordelia. They be getting at her tough.
Yeah. And Cordelia
Yeah.
was mad at Buffy. At this point, Buffy has burned her bridges with Cordelia because while Buffy was leaving the club to follow Willow, she thought Cordelia was a vampire sneaking up behind her. So she grabbed her and pushed her against the wall, ready to stab her with a stake in the heart. And Cordelia goes, "What's your childhood trauma?" Right? So
Yeah.
there's the reason why Cordelia is just done with Buffy, right? It's
Yeah.
that was their big fallout.
Right. And then so Buffy skips schools for the day because she wants to go search the tunnels. tunnels, try and find Jesse. She goes down inside the mausoleum, and who does she run into?
Mm,
Angel. And he gives her directions on like how to find the master and where his lair is. And yeah, they have a little counter. Do you remember anything else from this encounter that they had? Was this like their second encounter or third? Second encounter, right? Or
yeah,
third?
this is their second encounter.
Okay.
And
Right, yeah. And then our good old pal Xander catches up with Buffy, wanting to rescue his best friend, right? They enter in the tunnels and they find Jesse. And Jesse puts them in a trick bag and he leaves them to a dead end because Jesse is now a vampire. So he is, a minion. He is a worker for the master now. So he's not the Jesse that we once knew. He's not the Jesse that Willow and Xander grew up with. Yeah, so Buffy and Xander are ambushed. I think like something happened. I don't know if they fell down into a hole or something, but they were able to escape. Yeah, you remember anything else here?
no, I think that's good.
Okay. Okay. All right. And then we go back to the master who is underground and he punishes like he gouges the eyes out of one of the vampires for because he failed to capture, right? So he's very cruel. And then he does this, then he has the vampire Luke, the number one, the right-hand man. I think he has Luke drink his blood, right? And I saw that it said, and then he draws like a symbol on Luke's brow, transforming him into the vessel. And it says like each soul, so that each soul that Luke takes strengthens the master's ability to break free from his imprisonment. So he is tethered to the master. So instead of trying to bring people to him to drink, Luke will just drink it and then it'll transfer to the master and make the master strong, be able to break out.
Yeah, that's so true. And maybe it's a reference to the mark of the devil, right? Or something of that along those
Mm,
lines to play on that. So the team, as we're seeing this happen on the master and Luke interacting, putting the symbol,
mm-hmm,
the team also comes to the same conclusion with the help of
right,
Giles that, okay, we need to find a minion that will have this triangular symbol on their brow. And where could they go? Where would they possibly be? And then, of course, where else? The bronze, right?
right.
That's
But
we're
we
gonna.
do we before we get to the bronze, we do find out more about the master because Buffy and Xander go back to the school library and Giles tells them that the master arrived 60 years ago intending to
Mhm.
open up the Hellmouth, right? Which is a portal. So this is where we're finding out everything who the master is, the Hellmouth, where it's leading to. So the master arrived 60 years ago intending to open up the Hellmouth, which is a portal to another dimension, but was trapped by an earthquake, right? Because we're in California.
Right.
Um, so now the master is trying to escape using the vessel during a once in a century event
Mm.
known as the harvest. So the harvest is something that comes once every 100 years. And so this is like his one and only chance to break out and continue his mission on opening the Hellmouth. So to prevent this from happening, the Scooby Gang has to kill the vessel, right? And who was the vessel? We learned that the vessel was Luke.
Right. And clarify this for me, please. So at the beginning of this episode, we get a whole introduction from Giles about the old ones and how demons and vampires came to be. So opening the portal, is that with the intent to bring the old ones back?
Yeah, I think it's intended to bring everything, opening up hell and just bringing everything, all the supernatural stuff. Yeah, demons, vampires, everything, bringing them to Earth to rule it. That's from my understanding.
To rule again, right? Because
Yeah.
Giles informs us that, contrary to popular belief, the earth was not a paradise. And I think that's a reference to, the Garden of Eden. But he says that these creatures used to rule and walk the earth prior to humans coming to existence, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this master is, and we don't know, but is the master an old one?
I would assume so because he's been trapped for 60 years just alone down underground, right? So and no, there's no telling how long his existence has been since before that. So he could be.
Okay.
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was under the same impression, but I wasn't sure. Okay, so then what happens next?
So then, yep. So Xander suggests that the vampires will gather at the bronze, and of course, he was right. They did. So we see Darla and Luke and some other of the minions come, and I think they like, can't remember if they killed the bouncer outside the club or if they put him under a spell, but they were able to get in. But when Buffy was on her way to the club, on her way to the Bronx, she stops at home to get some weapons, but she is grounded by her mother, who is Joyce, because Principal Flutie called and said that Buffy had been skipping classes.
Yeah, and
Anything
this
else you remember?
is, yeah, the mom is just being a mom, right? Anybody would react to that. And she kind of throws it into Buffy's face and says, we can't go back to where we were. You know, you got kicked out and it's because of you that we're here. So I'm going to help you by grounding you. I forbid you to go anywhere. And Buffy's like, yeah, right. Okay. Right.
Right. And she escapes anyway. She leaves just like a typical teen. She jumps out of her bedroom window, right, after retrieving her weapons, and she goes and meets the crew at the Bronx.
Yeah, so by the time they get there, the minions, Luke and the minions have already like barricaded the bronze, and they sacrifice the first person, which was the bouncer. And
oh yeah, so that's one. The soul. They claim the soul.
And they kind of just split up and say, okay, I'm going to go this way and that way. And everybody just try to find Jesse and save him because they don't know Jesse has. Oh, no. I'm sorry. They have.
Yeah, they see that Jesse is now a vampire. Buffy arrives just in time to the Bronx because I think Luke has Cordelia and he was getting ready to bite her.
Don't do that. Don't just dismiss Cordelia.
You know what?
Thank you.
I never got time for no mean old Cordelia. But Buffy, being the nice person that she is, she saves her.
Wait, but she likes Jesse now,
what?
right? She kind of likes Jesse now, right?
Because he's like aggressive. They was on the dance floor, right? Yeah. He's aggressive now. He's like, shut up, dance with me.
And she's like, okay, maybe just one.
Right.
She likes bad boys, basically.
Right. Only until the end of the song or some crap that she said.
So the big moment is that they're gonna the next person to be sacrificed, or the next person whose soul is gonna be collected is gonna be Cordelia, right? And Buffy's like, no way that's gonna happen. So she shows herself, and that's when all hell breaks loose. That's when all the minions start attacking, and Buffy goes again one-on-one with Luke. And what happens after that?
Yeah, she's going because she noticed the vessel mark on his forehead, so she instantly starts going up against Luke. Xander, I think Jesse has Xander cornered, and he's really grappling with the fact that, man, like, my best friend is dead and he's trying to kill me, and he has a stake to his chest, but he's like not contemplating, but he's not so quickly to take his friend out, because even though he's a vampire, like, that was still his best friend, his childhood friend. But this show being, let me see, moments to be still kind of comical in some of the most serious things. I think in some of the most serious situations, people are running all around the Bronx. Somebody runs and bumps into Jesse and pushes him into Xander's stake, and he dies.
Dies
like, just like that, turns to dust. Okay,
right, this character that we thought was going to be a big deal, just dust, and the wind takes it away, and Jesse is no more.
Jesse is no more. He is no longer with us. I cackle at that as well.
Yeah.
But it's sad because Xander really could not. I mean, he was really grappling with, he was trying to kill him, but he really just couldn't. And if it wasn't for that push, who knows what would have happened. And so then we see Willow going toe to toe with Darla. She throws holy water on her as Darla attempts to bite Giles, and that forced her to run away, because when she threw the holy water, I think she threw it in her face and it burned her. So you see her running with a cloud of smoke, like following her. And then we just cut back to Buffy going toe to toe with Luke. She throws something at the window, making it seem like the sun is rising, and that Luke is and Luke believes that the sun is like burning him. Then Buffy stakes him through the back, and she's like, and then he realizes that it's still nighttime and it was just a street light, right?
Yeah.
And she kills him. Which is another reason why I love this show, because they do stuff like this because they're kids. Like, the show just stays true to how youthful they are and the way that they think, that Buffy and Xander, and then they think, it stays true to their age. Like, they're not doing anything like I wouldn't do at 16.
It's also like a reference to like the original movie, right? Because it's my understanding that the movie was also didn't take itself very serious. right? It
Hmm.
was almost a
Yeah,
comedy.
right. Yeah, yeah, it was a comedy. Exactly. It was a horror comedy. Luke dies. She stakes Luke. Luke dies. That causes and since he was a vessel, he was tethered to the master. He sees that Luke is dead. The plan has failed, and it weakens him. He gets weak, so that's how he know Luke is gone. And the other vampires instantly flee. They like, nah, we ain't about to. She just killed Luke. We ain't about to go toe to toe with her.
Yeah.
And they dip out. And outside the bronze, I think we see Angel again, right? And he realizes that I think he says something like, "Oh my gosh, she actually did it. She actually stopped the harvest," or something like that. He said,
That's right. Yeah, he has a little grin on his face. He comes out of the
right.
alley and just like, interesting.
Yep.
And that pretty
And
much ends the show, right?
yeah, like that was it. That was like the first battle of the show that they won. Then we get to the next morning, and then we overhear Cordelia recapping the events of last night with some of her friends, and we see the Scooby Gang together, with Giles, and Giles warns them, and they're riding on a high from last night, and Giles warns them like, "Yo, this ain't it. Like, there's way more battles to come. Like, we got to stay vigilant. We got to stay ready and prepared." And Buffy and Willow and Xander, they're walking away, just discussing everything and being the teenagers that they are. And then Giles is watching them, and he's like, "The earth is doomed," and he walks away, and that's the end of the show. It is so funny. Those things are it's those things like that, because that's not gonna be the last time that he says something, like, because they're kids, and he's just like, and like they're able to still go on and be kids even after all this stuff that just happened last night.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah.
mean, and I like that, right? I like that
Right.
it doesn't take itself serious, that it allows,
Right.
like you said, for children or for kids, teenagers to be teenagers.
Yeah, for teenagers to be teenagers. That is the end of our recap of episode 1 and episode 2.
Yeah, and if you liked what you heard, please hit the subscribe, give it a like, tell us what you thought of the episode in the comments, or if you have any questions, if we got something incorrect. I'm sure I did. So please, there's no ego here. Let us know, and we'll give out shout outs, in our next video. And
Yes.
thank you so much for sitting
Thank
here
you
with us
guys.
and listening. And we're going to bring another episode soon.
Yep.
Doctor out, and Ash.
We're out of here. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.